Welcome to TurboTenant's onboarding webinar. So in today's onboarding, we are going to be taking a look at a brand new TurboTenant account that has never been used before. We are going to set up a property and get that property marketing to find our next tenant. You may have noticed we've got Tom and Kevin joining us. They are our customer experience specialist, and they are offering this new thing called a white glove service for setup. Would one of you like to speak to what that white glove service offers landlords?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're currently looking at, just trying to help you all with the onboarding process. Landlording, there's a lot of different avenues and aspects to the process. And so what we're here to do is just, hop on a call with you. We can set that up and essentially, walk you through the whole process. It's a little bit more, individual to your specific needs. So we'll be able to, discuss that on the call. And if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know, and we'd be more than happy to, help you set that up. And if you have any questions, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom. All right, so here's some Zoom tips before we jump into our presentation. The first is that you are in listen and view only mode. You may have noticed, but you should be able to see and hear me and Tom and Kevin, but we cannot see or hear you. So if you do want to get in touch with us, if you have questions, we have a couple ways for you to do that. The first is using the chat. So we've been sharing how many properties we have down there. We do also have a Q&A feature. So that button should be next to the chat. And you can use that Q&A to ask us questions anonymously or behind the scenes. So if you have a question and you don't necessarily want to share it in the chat, you can use that Q&A. We can write you an answer, or we can answer those live. Another thing to keep in mind is that we are going to have a Q&A session at the end. If you have specific questions about your property and your account, of course, we do have these guys here to help with that white glove service, but we are also doing a Q&A option in our Facebook group, which is called Better Landlords. And I would love if Krista or Jonathan could drop a link to join Better Landlords. If you aren't in that group already, we would love to see you there. Another thing to note is that we will have polling questions. So obviously we've just done a couple of those, but you'll see those pop out throughout the webinar, and that just helps us to check in with you and see how things are going. And finally, a webinar recording. We will send you the link to this recording following our webinar. So if you have additional questions or you want to revisit the information we covered, we can definitely go that route. We also have all of our webinars shared on our YouTube page. So if you haven't checked out TurboTenant on YouTube, it's definitely a fun time to watch over there. All right, looks like everybody's answered how familiar we are with TurboTenant. Looks like we got a good mix of people who have just created their account. One of you is researching, so that's great to see. And I'm going to pop one more poll, and then I am going to get into our accounts. All right, so we are asking, what would you most like to learn about? This is going to help us understand if there's an area that we should focus on in our webinar today, or if we just want to talk about all of it, also totally fine with me. I am feeling pretty confident about doing that. And with Tom and Kevin behind me, I know that we'll get this all figured out. So starting out, this is our dashboard. This is the TurboTenant dashboard. Nothing has been done here. You see, I have no property. I have no notifications. There's nothing new happening in this account. The first step is going to be adding your property. And regardless of whether you are marketing or you have a tenant or you are in a renewal phase, the first step is always going to be to create your property. So we're just going to click add my property here. And TurboTenant is going to ask you a few questions so that we can set up your property in a way that makes sense for you. So we're going to ask what type of property it is. I'm going to be a single family house. And you'll see we do also have the option for multifamily, condos, townhomes, apartment buildings, and room rentals. So for the purposes of this webinar, we're going to go through and create the listing for a single family home, but then we're going to hop into another account that will allow you to see what those room rentals and individual units are looking like. So we are a single family house with no room rentals. I'm going to type in our address here. Oh, I just lost my screen over here. There we go. All right, and I am using a famous Hollywood house. If you know the address, I would be very impressed if you know it at this point. But I would love to know in the chat if you know what this house is from. Okay. Number of bedrooms, number of baths. I'm going to shoot for $6,000 rent, and my deposit is half that. There we go. And it's going to ask if we're ready to set up your listing. So if you already have current tenants in place and you are not using the online marketing feature, you can select skip for now. If we are using the marketing feature, which we're doing for this webinar, we're going to go ahead and set up my listing. You'll see here that these are all the sites that we push your listing out to. So you just create this one listing and then we get it pushed out for you. All right, so we've got square feet. We've got year built. All right, now date available. You can select whatever date works for you. You can select your desired lease term here. If you have flexible lease terms, we can contact for details, target rent and target deposit. We also have this free rent report here, which is going to look at properties in my area based on the address I used, similar square footage, similar bedroom size, and it's going to tell me sort of what the rent range is, what the estimate is. You'll see here that at $6,000, my rental is less than the average rental in my area. The sweet spot here is actually $11,252. That seems a bit high for me, so I'm going to keep this at a cost-effective price of $6,000 a month. You can see the maximum up here. This helps you in pricing your rental for free, and as you saw, it's super fast. I am not going to allow smoking or pets at my rental. If you do allow smoking, of course, you can select what works for you. And if you do allow pets, we ask you additional questions about what you'll allow. I also do not have an occupancy limit, but if you did, you could indicate that information here. And we have helpful links that will take you to Help Center articles and blogs to sort of guide you along the way there. Okay, the next section here, utilities paid by landlord. I'm not paying anything for this one, so we're just going to skip over that. And then we've got a few things to fill out here. Okay, nice. We've got appliances. Okay, sure, we have an oven too. Okay. And you can always go back and change this information too. Now, as it relates to the property title and property description, I did some work ahead of time to create these. Tom, Kevin, do you have any tips on creating a property title or property description?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, you want it to be eye-opening. You want it to be that hook that's going to really catch your renters on all of our third-party listing sites that we post with. It's going to be the first thing they see along with those photos. Again, something that you have available to you is that AI generating ability, and you can hit it as many times as necessary in order to, find the right description that you're looking for, or even maybe just help you create your own. Sometimes we use AI to help us with just figuring out exactly how we want to word something. You can still customize it and, change it around to however you'd like to show it. But in this case, it's really important to kind of get it to where you want it to be in your own property and show how you are trying to list that property out to all of the available viewers.
Absolutely. And I love that you included that this is the first thing that renters are going to see in addition to that photo. So keep that in mind. If you have vague information here, then they may not click in to see additional details, right? So if you can make this have the information you need, or say, close by schools, close by shopping, whatever your rental is really attracting people to, put that in your title here. And we did show off that AI. That is a fun new tool that we have. So definitely play around with that. You can click it again if you didn't like that first one. And you see we got a second option pop up here. Now with the property description, we do have an AI option as well, but I did go ahead and do my own. And I'm going to point out a few things that I think you should include in your listing as well. So the first is that I have details about the house. So I have information about the roof, the ceilings, the stone, the square footage. It's a split level. So it's going to be general information about the property. This was the house from the Brady Bunch, which if you hadn't guessed it yet, you may have seen when I got to the photos. I'm also offering a flexible move-in date. So this is additional details about what I am offering in the lease term. So a flexible move-in date during the month of September. I am offering short-term leases with an additional premium. So that is an option that I am communicating ahead of time when somebody sees my listing. I've also double indicated here, no pets, no smoking. It's going to be in my rental listing, but I want to make sure to get that point across. I've also included my leasing requirements. Sometimes these are called screening criteria, rental qualifications, but this is what I'm looking for as a landlord to determine if someone is qualified for the rental or not. So I want to make sure that I communicate that ahead of time. I wouldn't want a renter applying and then not meet my criteria, and I could have saved them that time and effort. I've also indicated a note here about my rental process. I want renters to submit the free pre-screening questionnaire before they apply. I want to qualify them based on those questions before they fill out the rental application. All right, next step here is going to be photos, and I've already got some photos right here. Kevin, do you have any tips on photos for rental listings?
Yeah, so for photos, you want to make sure that you have at least 10 photos and that they are sized appropriately for the internet. And we actually have a Help Center article, so you can just search for photos in the Help Center, and that will give you all of the very specific details that drill down a little bit more in fine detail of what to look for in those photos. If you ever have trouble, you can always reach out to the support team. That's what we're here for, 7 days a week.
That's right. And you can see I came up with an error when uploading my photos. So I clicked save and finish later. Gonna go back and try again. Hopefully this works out. Huzzah. All right. So get these photos up there. Now you mentioned 10 photos. Do I have to upload 10 photos?
No, you do not have to upload 10 photos, but it is recommended because the sites that we syndicate to, it helps people see more about the property, get to know the property, and kind of be more interested in the property, especially when you've got some cool pink wallpaper or pink bathroom, like in these photos here. Just gives the people a better view of the property. And as Samantha's doing, you can click and drag and move them around into a pleasing order. I personally like to do them in an order that you're going to kind of walk through the property so that it makes some sense that you go from front door, living room, to the kitchen, to the dining room, whatever. So that way it makes more sense as you're walking through the property and then clicking through the photos.
All right. So does this order please you, Kevin? Is this what you would recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've got the outside and then you're getting closer and walking through the property. That looks great.
Yeah. And highlighting this very cool faucet.
Absolutely. That's a very unique piece of the house.
We also have the ability to upload the video tour. So if you've got YouTube, Vimeo, Matterport video, you can upload that right there to have it available on your listing. And that was it. We created the listing. We are done. And then we will click publish my listing. If you're not ready to publish your listing yet, you can of course click save and publish later. And then we verify the phone number. So what's up with this, guys? Why do I have to verify my phone number?
With all the listing sites that we post with, they do actually require a phone number for us to post that listing out. So in order for your listing to get accepted by Redfin, apartments.com, Realtor, all of these places are going to require this verification process. So it's simply, if you hit send a text message, that's personally the easiest way, I believe. It'll send you a quick code, and essentially you'll be able to enter in that code to verify that phone number there. Typically, it shouldn't be more than a minute until you get that code. But if you are having any trouble with that process, definitely reach out to us here at support, and we're more than happy to walk you through that as well.
Absolutely. Now, I am not going to verify this listing because I am in a test account and I think you're all great, but I don't want to give you my phone number. So I'm just going to skip marketing for now, but assume that I've done that, right? The next thing that's going to come up is we're going to ask you about our premium plan, which is our annual subscription, and it unlocks all of the things, right? All of the things you could need. It's $99 for the year. As it relates to marketing specifically, Kevin, I'm going to throw this back to you. What do I get for premium when I'm marketing?
For premium, you get unlimited lease agreements. You get unlimited e-signatures. You also get premium phone support. That premium support allows you to schedule phone calls for 15 minutes with all of us on our support team. You also get priority chat and email support, as well as the ability to have free ACH rent payments, and our forms pack, which is $199, but that forms pack gives you a whole bunch of forms that you can download, customize, and send out for electronic signature to continue the rental process. Everything from pet addendums to move in, move out checklists to notice to quit or pay, and so forth. There's 32 forms, I believe.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So you get all that with premium, just $99 for the year. Doesn't matter if you've got just the one house like I do in this profile, or like you'll see in the next one when you're managing a whole bunch of different things. So before we jump into our next profile, let's just see how everybody's feeling about marketing. I know we went through it pretty quickly. We added the property, we created the listing, we started marketing, right? So I just want to check in to see how we're feeling. If anybody has any questions about marketing specifically, please use the Q&A or the chat to let us know. Another cool thing to just point out here while we're answering this poll is that in the marketing tab of this property, to get there, you're going to go to properties, select your property, and then marketing. So in here, you'll see that you have a lot of cool little options and buttons. We can obviously start the marketing online. Once you start marketing, you'll click this button to stop. It'll change to stop marketing. Over here, we have the direct link to our listing page. We also have the pre-screener link. So if I needed to send somebody the pre-screening questionnaire, it's right there. And this is what our listing looks like. We've got all of our details up here. We've got our photos, got a contact form for our renters to fill out if they're interested. And then of course, that beautiful description right here. All right, it looks like we are all good on marketing. So let's scoot into another landlord account. All right, now in this account, there are a lot of things going on. I am a new landlord, so play along with me. I am a new landlord to TurboTenant. I am just getting everybody started, so things are kind of a mess, but that's why we have Tom and Kevin here to help us out. Over here, you can see I am marketing on one. So this means I am marketing on one rental in my profile. It doesn't mean that I'm marketing to one site, right? It's just the one property that I'm marketing. I currently have 3 leads, which are interested renters who have reached out. 2 of those are new, meaning I haven't looked at them or seen them yet. I've got 2 applicants and I have 8 current tenants. Now, before we jump into this leads and applicants, I'm just going to give you a peek at the properties so you can understand where I'm coming from and setting up my account. I am one of those landlords that has a really strange portfolio. You can see I have properties at the top in Los Angeles, got one in Illinois, and I've also got one in Washington. So we are all over the place. We are a remote landlord, and we get all the things done in TurboTenant. So this home alone home right here, this is a single family rental. You can see I don't have the ability to show units or rooms, and that's because I haven't set those up. So if I go into this profile, we've got our overview, again, that marketing tab, the other things that we might need. I have a current tenant already in here with a lease. So that means that that unit is currently occupied. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Next up, we have the Rosebud Motel. Now this one, I'm actually converting this into studio apartments for affordable housing. Right now, I only have 2 that are rented. It's a weird situation because they're not actually paying me rent. They actually own the hotel, but I did go ahead and create leases for them. So in room number 6, we've got Johnny and Moira. And in room number 7, we have David and Alexis. So I've got them set up. I'm going to add those other rentals as I go, as I'm ready to market them or move people in. The one that we're working on today is going to be our condo loft rooms. So I own a 4-bedroom condo loft and I am renting out these individual rooms, but I only have 3 of my rooms rented. I have room number 1 is leased to Schmidt. Room number 2 is leased to Miller and room number 3 is leased to Winston. Now you're saying, Samantha, why do they both say Winston? Well, that's because their first names are both Winston, but we designate this one as Schmidt. So here I am marketing for room number 4. You can see I have a lease, but I've titled it as to be determined because I don't know the information. I don't know who's going to move in there, and I am marketing. So let's go take a look at our listing. Let's see. We got any questions coming in so far? Nice, nice. All right, cool. So in our listing here, we've got our details up here. We've got our photos here. If you did not know, this is from the New Girl TV show. So I've got my layout. I've got photos of the shared space. Again, this is a room rental. So scrolling down, I am specifying room rental. We've got 3 rooms currently leased. It's a furnished loft. And I'm again outlining additional details here. So keeping that in mind, this room is up for marketing. We're going to go take a look at those leads, which are the interested renters. So if we hop into our renters queue in the leads, I've got 3 leads right here. You can see the first 2 are sort of gray and they say new. That means I haven't done any work with these renters yet. I also have this check mark indicator here. That tells me that these 2 renters filled out the pre-screening questionnaire. So that's going to help me in qualifying them. Sam has not filled in the pre-screening questionnaire, and let's go take a look to see what's happening in their profile. So I don't have the pre-screener. They haven't filled that out, but they did send a message. I have a past eviction from a couple months ago. Is that a problem? If you remember in my listing, I said no prior evictions. If they want to still apply, that's fine. I will still review their application, but I do want that pre-screener first before I move forward. So I'm going to resend pre-screener. You'll see it has been resent here. And they can fill that out, which will then let me move on in the process. But at this point, we're done with this renter because we need that pre-screener first. So going back into our leads queue, our next lead is Leslie, and Leslie has submitted the pre-screener. We see Leslie wants to move in, what is this, today? Tomorrow, okay. This rental is not available until September 1st. It's one person. They've indicated no monthly income. They've indicated they are going to be smoking in the rental and that there will be pets. So because of these two things, they're not qualified for my rental based on my listing, right? We could have not even done this. And they haven't provided me any income. Tom and Kevin, why does this say unverified income and credit score? I want that information.
Yeah, well, great question. Honestly, the pre-screener is meant to, filter out who's going to be the right fit for you. But unfortunately, this is the information that they're going to be submitting, and we just have no way of verifying that. That's why we provide you with that screening report to, gauge into the verified income, and also, something we provide with our premium plan is income insights as well, to kind of give you a better overview of, their past income history. So definitely, it's something to look at, and specifically with your account, hopefully if the renter is honest and, accurate, then they'll provide you with that information through that pre-screener. And that's kind of where, we make those decisions on whether or not we're going to invite them to apply. Because, just as the landlord, you don't want to be wasting their time as well as your time, as it is important to both parties.
Absolutely. So I can't consider this as verified because I haven't gotten that screening report. I haven't done that additional work. This is just the information the renter is giving me, and we want to trust but verify, right? So based on this screening information, this pre-screening information, this renter is not qualified. They want to move in too soon. They don't have any income. They have a pet. They've said yes to smoking. They've described themselves as unemployed. I'm actually seeing they have 2 cats. So this is not a qualified renter. We have a couple options here. The first option is that you can archive the lead. And what this is going to do is it's going to scoot them from being active to being archived, kind of hidden behind the scenes. So you can get to it later, but they're not right in your active queue and not right in your face. What I would prefer to do is send the renter a message to let them know that they are not qualified. So I'm going to say this rental isn't available. Oops. Until September 1st. No pets, no smoking. Keep it simple. Send the message. I've contacted. I can leave a note here and say, indicated immediate move-in, 2 cats, no income, smoking. Oops, not qualified. All right. So the activity log is information for me as the landlord in my landlord portal. I can keep notes here, and that's not shared with the renter. So this tells me, okay, I'm going to remove them. I'm going to archive them. Here's the reason why. The reason that I also sent the message is because if I were a person that was waiting to hear back for a housing situation, I would expect to hear some sort of communication from that person that I have expressed interest to, right? Certainly your choice how you manage your rental process, but the recommendation is communicate. Communicate to the renters when they're interested, communicate to the renters when they give you information, and that's just going to start y'all off on the right foot. So we've done this. I'm going to go ahead and archive this lead. Okay. Then if we go back into the leads queue, you'll see that lead is gone. They do not exist. This one I've just sent that pre-screening questionnaire again. Let's go take a look at Sam. All right. So it looks like Sam is the same person, but with a different name. That's unusual. They want to move in soon. They also have 4 people instead of just the one, because remember, this is a room rental. No income. Yes to pets, yes to smoking, unemployed, 2 cats again, and they want to schedule a tour. Same thing as the other one. We're going to send a message. This rental isn't available until September 1st. No pets, no smoking. Send, add note, immediate move-in, pets, smoking, and 4 occupants. Here we go, and archive. So at this point, our 2 leads that did fill out the pre-screener have been disqualified. And we have this 3rd lead that we need the pre-screening information for. But at this point, we're done with the leads. Now, there are a few other things that you can do in the leads queue to help keep you organized. The first is using this actions button. So you saw me maybe do that when we were resending things, but you can send the invitation. You can send a message, resend, archive, mark as contacted right here. When you have multiple leads, you can select individuals, you can select all of them, and you can apply kind of a mass action to those individuals. Any questions about leads that came in so far? We're going to scoot into applicants, and then I've got a poll to see how we're doing. All right, so applicants, these are going to be people who, the first step is the contact form, right, on the listing. That's going to create that lead profile in your landlord portal. The next step is for the renter to fill out the pre-screening questionnaire. That's going to give you the check mark in that portal. If the renter at that point decides to submit an application, whether you invite them or they do that on their own, they are going to be scooted into this applicants stage right here. So your renters are only going to live in one place, either leads or applicants or tenants. They're going to kind of scoot through that timeline. When we're in the applicants tab here, a couple things going on. Down here, we've got Sarah Connor, and we are able to request a screening report from them. And we also have Jessica Day. Jessica Day has a green verified check mark. So that means that they have already verified their identity. They have provided additional information to TransUnion, our screening provider, and TransUnion is giving us the green light saying this is a person, this is the person that this person is saying they are. So you're good to go with this person. And we have the option to see screening report and move in renter. Now, Sarah Connor, let's go ahead and request that screening report. Give it just a moment. Okay, and you'll see here that we are sending a verification request to Sarah Connor. So what is this verification request all about, Tom and Kevin?
So the verification request basically sends over a notice via email and has a notice in their renter dashboard that lets them know that we need to complete the verification. We'll ask them a couple of questions about Social Security, rental income, and then we will, once that process is done, TransUnion sends back a couple of questions that are based on their history. So where they previously lived, previous employers, things of that nature that is on their history so that we can kind of verify them. And then once that is completed and verified, the screening report comes back just like it does here on Jessica Day.
That's right. So if we go check out Jessica Day, we've got the screening report. We're no longer waiting on that applicant. So let's take a look. Okay, so again, I'm in a test account. Also, Jessica Day is a fictional character from the show New Girl. So there is insufficient credit history because they're not real, right? But let's assume that they are real and everything is coming up aces. We've got green check marks. We've got no issues. Everything is looking great right here. That's what we're seeing in pretend land. But in the application, we have a summary. That's going to include some of the information that we may have obtained from the pre-screening questionnaire. We can see that Jessica wants to move in on the 1st. That's in line with our rental. 1 occupant, has sufficient monthly income, does not have pets, and indicated no to smoking. Based on this information, totally qualified. We've got a snapshot here of a screening report. So you'll see a number of records for the criminal history, evictions, and public records. And we've got the income insights here. Now, again, this is a perk of the premium plan. This is a partnership with TransUnion, again, in a test account and not a real person. But when you run this with a real account and a real person, you're going to get a red message that says request additional verification. That's when you're going to ask for those bank statements or pay stubs, tax documents, things like that. Or you're going to see a green indicator that says everything is good based on the information we have and their credit history. This person probably has the income that they're reporting. So that gives you just a little bit more peace of mind when qualifying your renters. We also have landlord references here and attachments. So if they did provide a pay stub and photo ID, we've got that right there. You can find all the application information under application here. We've got their past address, their income, self-reported background. They have additional comments. We can put those there. And then again, that screening report. You'll see we break it down by criminal records, a profile summary, derogatory items, trade lines, collections. A lot more exciting with a real life person. But I think this gives you a good idea of what we're looking at when it comes to the screening report. Based on all of this, Jessica seems super qualified to me. And so I'd like to move forward with them in the rental process. But I do want to also see what's happening with that other applicant that I'm waiting on. So if we click on view applicant, we've got the summary here. You'll see still waiting on that applicant. You have the ability to send a reminder if you'd like. I'm noticing a few things though with this applicant. First, their move-in date is tomorrow. They also have 2 occupants for a single bedroom rental. They have no monthly income and have indicated yes to smoking and yes to pets. So it's likely that they are not qualified. I'm going to go ahead and send a message. Okay. And then we can actually go ahead and select not moving in on this renter. And I've got a few options on how to proceed. The first is archive applicant, which looks very similar to archiving the lead we had before. And it's going to do the same thing, right? It's going to hide them behind your active applicants so you can access them later if you need to. It's going to store their information so you've got it in case there is any legal action or recourse that comes up down the road. But we've got it for you in the backlogs. You can also deny the applicant without sending a message or sending a message. We definitely recommend that you send the message. Another helpful thing in the automated message that we send is letting them know how to obtain a copy of their credit report. It's also letting them know information about the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So how to obtain copies, how to dispute information on your credit report, and all those fun things. Again, we have one of those links, so you can check it out if you want more information. All right, so that applicant was denied. So if we go into our applicants tab, you'll see they are gone and we just have Jessica. I want to move forward with Jessica, so we're going to select move in renter. And that's going to get us to the next phase, which is the lease. So before I jump into that, I want to check in to see how we're feeling with the leads and applicants. Awesome. Okay, so we're answering that. If you do have questions, again, feel free to use that Q&A or the chat. We're going to go ahead and assign Jessica Day to the draft lease and click next. All right, now leases are another section in TurboTenant that may take a little bit of getting used to on your side. I'm going to go into my leases tab here, but think of these not necessarily as the lease agreement, but the lease profile or the lease folder. If you think like back in the day when we used filing cabinets, you would have an applicant come in, you would get their manila folder, put their application in, maybe a copy of their ID, maybe their proof of income. You would write on the side their name or the apartment address, the rental address, and then you'd put that in your filing cabinet, right? That's what this is. So the leases tab, this section, this is our filing cabinet. And then these are our individual lease profiles. So these are set up in a way that organizes information for specific tenants during a specific period of time for a specific property. And this is also how we're going to set up that tenant portal for our renters as well. If we look up here, we've got our upcoming lease. This is the one we just assigned Jessica to. So it's TBD. Still waiting on some details there. We're going to go in and take a look. I also have my current leases for all my current tenants. Now you'll see a lot of these say create first charge here. Now, again, if you remember, I'm just setting up my TurboTenant account. So I'm setting this up because I have a rental available. I might as well get all my rentals set up, all my tenants set up. But for now, we're just going to focus on Jessica. All right. So Jessica has been assigned to my lease profile. You can see that Jessica was last active earlier today. Here's Jess's email and their phone number. If I go into the payments tab, we are currently waiting for verification documents to be verified by our payments team. And again, that is because I've just set up this account. We're just getting started and there is going to be a little bit of a wait while our payments and security team do the authorization behind the scenes. I've got some upcoming charges already set up here for rent and the security deposit. You'll see this one is a recurring charge. So it's got these little wheels and this security deposit is a coin, meaning it is a one-time charge. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. When I click create charge, you indicate what type of charge you want. So we're going to go with monthly charge. The next step here is to indicate the category. You can add an additional description if you'd like. Put in your amount and the day it is due. Select when you want this billing to start and when you want it to end. I'm going to select no end date because I'm not sure how long of a lease Jessica is going to do, and I want to be able to control that manually on the backside of things for me. I'm also going to go ahead and set up an automatic late fee, which is $50 due the day after the rent is due. So you'll see it's a $50 one day after the rent is due. The rent is due on the 1st. So this $50 charge will be applied on the 2nd. The last step here is indicating which bank account you want this to be sent to. If I click in here, you'll see that I have a few different bank accounts set up. And this is for the condo loft rent. So that's going to be right here. Now, Tom, Kevin, do you want to speak a little bit to the different bank accounts and how I got this unlocked?
Absolutely. So this is a premium account. If you'll stay on, well, that's fine. So basically, this is a premium account. And if you look at the list here, you'll see that Samantha has a couple different entities set up. So one is under her personal, one is under her business, or the LLC. There are unlimited bank accounts because she is a premium and has opted to set up, like I said, both her personal and her LLC business for a couple of those accounts. The rule of thumb is to make sure that your bank account information matches your LLC. So if it's a LLC's bank account, we want to make sure it's under that LLC. Otherwise, we'll run into some trouble. And that's what our team is here for, to kind of fix those issues along the way.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm creating this monthly charge. It's going to the right place. And oh man, I forgot I had already created this monthly charge. So now you see I've got 2 of them, and we've got one down here that's already been sent to our tenants and is ready to pay. Now I don't want my tenant to log in and say, oh, I owe $1,200 and pay it and then have a second charge sent. Like that's no good. So we're going to go ahead and delete one of these. I see that this is the charge that has already been sent. So let's go ahead and click on the pencil. And there we go. Delete this monthly charge. Now this is only going to delete that recurring charge that we've set up. So it's not going to delete anything that has already been sent, and it's not going to prevent, it is going to prevent those future charges from being sent. Okay, there we go. Now if we look back in here, we've got just that one rent charge. This is our one-time charge for the security deposit. Again, security deposit, the amount, the date, which account do you want to send it to? I have a separate account for deposits for my condo loft. There we go. And now look, that security deposit is available to pay as well. Now with my recurring charge, this is due on the 1st, but it is August 22nd. So what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so we do send out rent charges about 15 days before they're due, just to allow your tenants to have that time to submit that payment, especially if you are expecting funds to be due on the 1st. There is a period of time that it takes for those funds to deposit. So if you have a regular version of TurboTenant, that means it will deposit in 5 to 7 business days. With your premium plan, we actually expedite that process, so it will deposit in 2 to 4 business days. In this case here, we provide that option for the renter to pay early, and they will receive email notifications a week prior to that due date, as well as we do send up some notifications coming up to that payment, and if those payments are late as well.
Nice. And I just popped a poll about how you have collected rent previously. There are other cool features here with rent payments. This security deposit, Jess actually gave this to me in a cashier's check earlier today. So instead of making Jess pay this online when they gave me physical payment, I'm actually just going to click record payment here, indicate which tenant made it. It was for the security deposit, this amount here, and we're going to say that it was a cashier's check. I'm leaving a note here, cashier's check, this number, and it was paid today, and I'm going to send a receipt. So let's go ahead and record that payment. Now you'll see the status here has changed to paid. Really cool. Another cool thing is that once this verification is complete, these charges will be all the way sent to my tenant for payment. Once they submit that payment, I'm going to see where it says deposited. I'm going to see an estimated date of deposit, and that's going to help me track my rent payments from the time they're submitted to the time they make it to my bank account. You'll see additional details pop up here that are going to show you when that payment was initiated, when the transfer is happening, and then when the deposit is successful. So super cool that we track that information there. If we scoot back into the summary of our lease profile, we've set up the rent payments, good to go for when Jessica moves in, but we're going to change some things up here. So I'm going to click edit. And again, this is our lease profile where we're storing that information, and this is setting up the account for Jess. I'm going to go ahead and say lease nickname is day. And we've got the rent, the security deposit, making sure we've got the correct property, the correct room. This is how you would change it if you assign somebody to the wrong rental, whether that's the property, the room, the unit. You can update that information here. I'm also not allowing partial payments, so I only want the full amount due for Jessica. And I am allowing auto pay. So if Jessica wanted to set up auto pay in their tenant portal so that their rent payment is automatically paid every month, I will allow that. Let's save changes there. Also in your settings here, you have the ability to end the lease, which converts it to a pass lease, or you can delete the lease if it was a duplicate or you were just kind of playing around, seeing what the different features are. We've got up here, again, the condo locked rooms, month to month, the date that it starts. And our next step is going to be figuring out details for the lease agreement. So we already know Jess wants to move in on the 1st, but we don't know how long of a lease they want to do. So we're going to go ahead and send a message. Okay, great. You've been approved. I've got a September 1st move-in. Goodness, typos. How long of a lease would you like to do? And then we'll send that message. Again, we've got all those notes over here in the activity log for what happened with Jessica. You can see the message is here. I can also scoot into the messages tab over here to see messages from all my tenants as well. Okay, let's get back to our lease for Jessica. So we've got that. The next step is going to be the lease agreement. Now, since I'm still waiting on some details, we're going to take a peek at the lease agreement without actually getting the whole thing done, since we don't know how long of a lease Jessica wants. Now, with your lease agreement, you may have noticed this says create your California lease agreement. Whatever state your rental is located in, that is the lease agreement that will automatically populate when you go to get the lease agreement. There are some states like Illinois that have 2 or 3 different lease agreements to choose from. If you're using a Cook County lease or the state of Illinois lease or the Chicago lease, we're going to ask you specific questions to make sure we get the right lease agreement for you. Then the next step here is just to edit this lease agreement. So fill in the information that makes sense for your rental. We start with the lease specifics. You'll see that some of these details have already been added in here. We have details for the room location and, of course, the term for the lease. We're going to go ahead and keep this on month to month for now. Let's see, room facing east for now. Okay. Here we go. Rent, deposit, and fees, $1,200. No pet rent because there's no pets. Moving in on the 1st, so there is no prorated rent. But if you do need to figure out prorated rent, we've got a calculator right here to help you out. We have the ability to add in your deposit, pet deposit, one-time fees, and of course, how you accept rent payments. So I'm only accepting rent through TurboTenant moving forward, but if you accept other forms of rent, you can indicate that here on the lease agreement. And if you remember, I recorded that offline payment earlier from a cashier's check. So if you're using Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, things like that, you can still record those payments using TurboTenant. You just want to make sure it's on your lease agreement that you allow payments from those sources. Okay, we are only going to put Jessica here. Only lease, only tenant on the lease. No more additional occupants for this room. We've indicated our landlord information here, and nothing uncommon is happening with this lease as of now. Now, if the tenant decides that they want to use a different mailing address, then I would fill that in, but those are details that I don't yet have. No pets, no smoking. I do not include parking in my rental, but if you did, you could click yes, and you could indicate what kind of parking is available. We've auto-populated custom parking rules, which you can then go in and edit and change to make sense for your rental. And of course, we always recommend that you require renter's insurance. We have links right here to help you learn more about requiring renter's insurance as a landlord. And we do have a partnership with Sure so that renters can get their renter's insurance set up in their tenant portal, and it's automatically uploaded into your landlord portal for super easy and convenience. As it relates to utilities, let's see, all of these, I'm going to take care of the gas and the water and the sewer. And that's it. Any shared utilities, they'll have to figure that out on their own. They get 1 property key and 1 mailbox key. You can always go back in and edit this information up until the point where you send it for signatures. Once you send it for signatures, you do need to cancel your signature request to make some changes. And that's just to make sure that your tenant has the opportunity to review everything before they sign it. We also have this provisions and attachments section. So here you can type in additional terms. If there's anything in the actual lease agreement that we've provided that you have a policy that differs from, you can indicate that policy here in the additional terms. this is going to supersede any conflicting provisions in the actual lease agreement. So if there is something different in our lease that you want to change, this is where you put that information. Okay, then we've got state-specific disclosures here. In California, you are required to have a rent control disclosure as well as asbestos disclosure. There's a drug disclosure, all of these fun documents. And so you go through and you select what makes sense for you and your rental. I need to get back and customize this lease agreement later anyways. So I am actually going to save and preview here. Perhaps, no? Okay. We'll select no for now, or yes, or no. Death disclosure, military testing, mold disclosure, bed bugs, so many things. Okay, let's save and preview. We also have this attachment section. We're going to take a look at the forms pack next, but the attachment section is where you would add things like a cosigner agreement or an animal addendum or move out cleaning instructions or your move in and move out condition checklist that your renter is going to fill in when you move out and when they move in and again when they move out. And so this is the lease agreement that we've started building so far. You can see we've already pre-filled the information in. We've got general information here. And again, this is state specific to California for my rental. Now this is showing that this is not legally binding because this is still in a draft status. Once you send this to your tenant for signatures and they have signed it, it lets them know it is a legally binding document. And it lets you know when you apply your signature that it is a legally binding document. There is that fun lease agreement. Let's hop into the forms. Kevin had mentioned the forms a little bit earlier, I believe, as part of our premium plan perks, but we do have these 32 forms here from the lease agreement addendum to the cosigner agreement pet addendum. You can see the forms here. They're all downloadable. So you can save them to your computer, customize them for your rental, for your property, for your portfolio, whatever makes sense. And then send those either as attachments in the lease agreement or as an e-signature request. Okay. We also have, let's see, I'm just going to go check out. Yep. Okay. So we have the ability also to upload documents. As I mentioned, the renters that are in my condo loft, I have 3 current renters and I'm advertising for that 4th bedroom. So Miller is one of those renters that I currently have. They are in their lease agreement from October 1st until September 30th. So they're actually doing a really long lease agreement. And I have uploaded a document here, which is the signed lease agreement that I have with this individual because they're already under a lease contract when I started using TurboTenant. This way, I can share the document with my renter, so they always have access to it in their tenant portal, and I can always reference back to it if I need to in my landlord portal. If it's something that I don't want to share with the tenant, maybe I had another tenant that issued a complaint, or I received a police report, or a notice of cancellation for an insurance policy, then I could upload that document and keep it private, which means that I'm storing it in that lease profile. I can reference it, but I don't tell my tenant that it's available in their portal. We also have the ability to request electronic signatures. So if you have documents that you need to be signed, you can upload those here. You just drag and drop here and we will walk you through the process to put on signatures into those lines, get it sent out to your tenants, and they'll sign directly in their tenant portal. Let's see what else. Our payments are pending approval from our team. If you want to report expenses, we have the expenses tab here. We have the ability to track only expenses or to use our comprehensive accounting with REI Hub. Now, REI Hub is a more robust option. This is actually going to link with your bank accounts and will help you automatically track and organize expenses as well as report that rental income. But if we're only doing expense tracking, we make it super simple with a form that you fill out here, and then you upload your receipt or document. And our accounting tab, this is going to be REI Hub. So if you are utilizing REI Hub and that accounting, this is where you'll find that information. Scooting on down into our landlord portal, we've got our toolbox available. I think I've got another poll here while we're looking at these things. There we go. So in our landlord toolbox, these are going to be resources and partnerships that TurboTenant offers. So you'll see we have landlord insurance, we have LLCs, we have rental property insurance. And as you scroll down, there's more information about the premium subscription and our free calculators, not just that rental property calculator, the prorate calculator, the rent estimate, all of the things right here in one spot. We also have Academy available. So if you need some learning on your free time, we have a couple different on-demand courses. We've got tax and accounting as well as fair housing. And then our free onboarding course. So if you wanted to go more in depth with the features available on TurboTenant, then we've got this course available for you, which is on demand. And if you ever need to get in touch with our customer support team, we have this Need Help tab. In this Need Help tab, we have a link to our Help Center, which is where you're going to find step-by-step articles and guides on how to use TurboTenant features. You can send a message to our team here or use the little chat bubble to get in touch with Kevin and Tom. And we also have the ability to schedule phone calls if you are a landlord who has the premium plan subscription. All right, let's see what else. Looks like we've still got some questions. You could let us know in the chat or the Q&A what questions you've got. And remind me again, how do landlords sign up for the white glove service if they want some help getting set up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll go ahead and I'll provide a link to our scheduling system here in just a moment. And if you do want to get set up, it will be either myself or Kevin that will help you through the process. Right now, we're offering the 30-minute call. So essentially, you can kind of get the idea of what premium would offer, as phone support is one of those features available to you. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to help you walk through that whole entire process, except we're going to go more in depth, exactly, you know, your properties, your leases. And if you have any questions, we can definitely address them there too. In my experience, it's been a really great way to connect with you as landlords. So me and Kevin are really happy to offer this service to you. And I'll post it here in just a moment in the chat for you as well.
Awesome. Let's see, Anne, I have premium and want to set up rent payments. That's amazing, Anne. We love to see it. Do you have any questions about setting up those rent payments? Is there a fee? Guys, is there a fee to use rent payments?
So I can answer that question. So essentially, there's no fee for you as the landlord. Now, we do have two different forms of payments for your renters that will be making those payments. So they can either sign up with a credit/debit card. And with our payment processor, this will incur a 3.49% convenience fee. So we do recommend, if they are available, to do so, that they actually add in a bank account. With a regular account, it will be a $2 ACH fee. But if you have premium, we actually waive this fee for you. And moving forward, you should see that Kevin did link that turbo launch call as well, just to add that in. But yes, there won't be any fee to you as the landlord. However, if you do want to pay that $2 ACH fee, we also offer that to you as well in your account.
Yep, so premium landlords, no fee for rent payments. And I'm just going to pop into my account settings here. Underneath the rent payments tab, this is where you're going to set up your bank accounts and entities. As we touched on, I have a few different entities. So I individually, Samantha, the landlord, I manage the condo loft. So I've got 2 accounts for that. And then I also have an LLC called Landlord LLC. And then my second LLC is Better Landlord LLC. And so those are separate accounts because that's how my entities and my payments are set up on the back end of things. Kevin, I saw you unmute.
So if there's if the tenants add their bank account, they will be able to make that ACH payment completely free if you are premium. It's only if you're on the free plan or the then you have the option to allow the tenants to pay. So if it's $1,000 a monthly rent, they would pay $1,002, or you can absorb the $2 and you would get $998 deposited into your account.
Yep. And so, Anne, if you go into your account settings under rent payments, you should see this same message here. Your ACH fee is waived. There is normally a $2 fee, but it is waived for premium members. So shouldn't have to worry about that at all. We also have, since we've got, it looks like just a couple minutes left, I'll point out in the account settings here, you can activate and see your subscription information for premium here. We also have the ability to toggle on or off background questions and add custom application questions in the settings. And under advanced, we have this really cool feature called notifications. We have just started offering bulk notifications. So you'll see that you can do an email summary if you want to get a summary about emails, payments, things like that. So it's super helpful to have those available. Anne's going to try and set up both today and tomorrow. I love that, Anne. I've got one more poll just to wrap us up here, and I'm going to drop a link for our Facebook group again. I am continuing the TurboTenant Q&A in our Facebook group in just a couple of minutes. So if you would like to join us live and ask more questions, you are welcome to. I would love to see you there. Kevin and Tom, I'm sure have a lot of landlords waiting to hear back from them. So we're going to let them bounce out, but I appreciate you all being here today. And if you have any questions, again, you can go to the Need Help tab of your landlord portal at any time to get in touch with support, or you can use this cute little chat bubble down here, or you can email support@turbotenant.com. We've got all of the options available for you. Awesome. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.